welcome to the show today. I'm very excited about my guest. I have her on for the entire half hour. I have been following her on Instagram, and I've known her since she was a little bitty girl. Now she's a grown woman with a family of her own. And one of the things that we are going to talk about at length today is the challenges of young people trying to buy a house in today's market. And I have followed her and her husband's 8-year journey to home buyership. And we're going to talk about that and the challenges they faced. And the result is, well, we're giving it away by the beautiful kitchen that you're sitting in now, right, Kati?
Yes, happy to be here.
Yes, thanks for being here, Kati Howard. So I reached out to you a couple of weeks ago because I've been off Facebook and I haven't seen much, and I've just kind of been dabbling in Instagram. And all of a sudden I saw you were in this renovated house, and I thought, what did I miss? Because I've been following the challenges that you faced over all of these years. So just happy to have you here to share your story, because I think a lot of young people can relate to it. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course.
So let's talk a little bit. What I want to focus on right now is just kind of let our audience know who you are and where you are in life, you and your husband, Tyler, and your boys, and just kind of give us an insight to the person that you are and those beautiful flowers behind you and you as your side hustle.
Yeah, so I'm Kati, and I'm married to my husband, Tyler, and we have 3 boys, Quincy, Braxton, and they are almost 14, 11, and 9. And I am a stay-at-home mom full-time and also part-time, well, sometimes in the summer part-time. It's more like full-time in the summer. I am a wedding florist, so I do custom wedding flowers, and my business is called Kiss Me Kate Custom Floral, and I'm very passionate about it. It's just so much fun. I mean, this is kind of my job. Yeah, so that's me.
Well, I wanted to share a bit about Kiss Me Kate, first of all, because so it is what you studied in school, and it is something you put aside for quite a while while you're raising your young boys, but you have so many talents and what I consider like side hustles. That's what they're called these days, right? Yeah, you have the florist, and then you're also an incredibly talented person in seeing some other person's junk and turning it into treasure. I've texted you and sent you messages when I'm trying to refinish something. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? How much paint do I do? Should this be stained? So talk a little bit about that as well.
So I am just passionate about seeing the potential in like ugly things, and whether that's weeds on the side of the road, like my husband and my kids can attest, like I've literally pulled over to the side of the road, like I need this right now and I could make this into something really cool. And they're like, she's crazy. What is she thinking? We're not, like, my kids are like shrinking down in the car. Like they're just humiliated that I'm doing this. But I feel that way about a lot of things in life. I feel like furniture these days is kind of not built to last. And I love old furniture because it was built to last. And anything made of real wood can be made beautiful again. You just have to have the vision and kind of the tools and the know-how to do it. And that is something I enjoy doing on the side. And I've been doing that just as a hobby. It's not a full-time job or anything like that. But I have a lot of friends and family members who reach out to me when they're in your shoes of like, what do I do with this? How do I make this relevant again? Because my grandma loved it and she passed it down to me, but it's not my style. And, you know, how do you make something work? And we're all sort of living on a budget, where most of us are. We're not all, unfortunately, millionaires, so we can't just buy new everything, nor is that sustainable. You know, we should not just be throwing away things when they're usable. So it's nice to be able to just give something new life, and I really enjoy that.
Well, when I was sending you pictures of what I was refinishing, I thought, if Kati thinks it's cool, then I'm probably doing a good job. So I kept thinking, oh, this is just too black and I got to add this. So it turned out well, and I'm happy with it. And I'll keep it for a long time until I switch it to something else. I don't tend to throw away things either. We have a lot of things in our home that have been in the family for literally 100 years that I feel really blessed, because when something is given to the family, it tended to be given to Wesley and me, because those are things that I treasure. And I'm sure in your family, you know, I have a bench that's at the bottom of my stairs that is the bench that Hunter and his dad and I used to sit at Christmas at his mom's house. We'd open our presents. And so it was worth it to me to pay the $500 to have it shipped here instead of paying $500 for some other piece of furniture to put at the bottom of my stairs.
Right, right. And that's something that you can pass down to your future generations and they can enjoy as well. Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly, exactly. And I wanted to say too, back to you saying your kids are embarrassed and think you're strange when you pull over to the side of the road, that those are the things they'll treasure about you. Those are the stories that they make fun of now, but they're going to say about you someday. My mom is always, or was always, when they think fondly of you much later in their lives, that you're the person who saw beauty in everything. So that's,
thanks.
let them tease you now, but
I feel like it's a rite of passage as a parent to just humiliate and embarrass your kids. And then it gives them more character growing up and toughens up their skin maybe a little, you know.
Especially the oldest 14-year-old. You've still got the youngest one. How old is he?
He just turned 9, yeah.
And tell me his name again, because it cut off a little at the beginning.
Zayden.
And so he's still sweet and cuddly. I see the pictures. He is. He still will snuggle up with me, and he's actually one of the only ones who can still fit with me. My other ones are almost as tall as me right now, and I'm rooting for them. They're like, I'm almost as tall as you, Mom, and I'm like, I'm rooting for you. I'm only 5'2". I want you to be taller than me. Not a huge accomplishment, but yes, that's good. That's good. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to dive a bit into your house search and what you went through to finally end up where you are. It's such a great story. Stick around, because I want you to learn from the sacrifice that Kati and her husband have put forth over the last 8 years to get to where they are. It's a tough buyer's market for young people, even for older people who are more established in their careers. It's tough, but they've made it work. We'll take a break and come right back with more from Kati Howard. I'm here talking with Kati Howard. She and her husband, Tyler Howard, have been saving, searching for a home that they could buy for themselves and their 3 boys, raising a young family. And I followed her on Instagram. I've known her since she was a little girl, and just watched the heartache involved in the process, and also the determination and the ups and downs of trying to buy a home in today's market as a young family, carving it out for themselves. So thanks again for being here to talk about it. I mentioned in the first segment that I was kind of checked out of Facebook and Instagram for a while, and came back, and suddenly you're in this beautiful kitchen, and I went and stalked your the last several months to see what's been going on. So let's talk about just your desire to own a home. You've been raising your family of 5 in a duplex for a long time, making sacrifices, saving, and tell us a bit about just that desire. And very early in your marriage, you'd made up your mind at some point you want to own a house, but gosh, it almost seemed impossible sometimes.
Yeah. So we got married young. I had just turned 20 when we got married. My husband was 24. I think the saying goes, when you know, you know, and we did. And we're here 15 years later, still happily married, don't regret a thing. We started having a family young, and that presented a few challenges. You know, we had just graduated college, we had babies, weren't really financially established. We didn't have any debt from college, which was a blessing, but we didn't have an incredible amount of savings either. So we just kind of slowly worked over time to accumulate that savings and, chipping away, putting some in the bucket here and there. And
keeping in mind you're a single income family, and you had young children. So now you have kids, Kate, for your floral design, but you were just a young mom.
No, at the time when we were having kids and they were young, I was full stay-at-home mom. I just was in mode of taking care of everyone else's needs. I worked temporarily before, or when I had my oldest, when he was a baby, I worked on call at a florist shop in Boise. Which I loved. It was a nice little reprieve to get away every now and then. But my husband was the sole provider for our family. So we have been working away.
Well, and talk about too, the challenges that I know you faced. So you really got serious about buying about 8 years ago. You kind of felt like, okay, we've got enough maybe of a down payment, or we have an idea of what we can afford and where we want to live and where you don't want to live. And 8 years. Talk about those 8 years.
Yeah. So 8 years ago was at the time it was 2012. My youngest was just born, and we had moved from Boise to Oregon for my husband's work. He quit his job in Idaho. That's a whole other story. And we decided that we were going to uproot and move over here. My family's from Vancouver, Washington, so I was happy to move over here to be a little closer to some more family. And so he got a job, and we decided that we wanted to kind of put down some roots. And in 2012, that's kind of when everything had crashed, and the housing market was flooded with tons and tons of houses, and they were all very affordable. And we had actually looked at several during that first year. One of them felt like it was right. We put an offer in on it, and it was accepted. And ultimately, something didn't sit well with us, and we decided to walk away from it. And in that process, that was difficult because we had something attainable there. But we just, for whatever reason, it just didn't seem like the right fit.
Looking back, do you think you know what that reason was? Or, I mean,
yeah,
it works out, but do you
I'm a big believer of, God puts us in these circumstances to align people or things in our lives to kind of help us grow. And had we moved into that house, it would have been a fabulous house. I'm sure everything would have been fine, but I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet some of my, I don't have any sisters, I have all brothers. And so I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet some of my closest, dearest friends who I now call like my sisters, and that support system. So, and they all have young families. We've really had a tight-knit community over here in the area where we live, which I don't think we probably would have had over in that area. So yeah, it all worked out.
How many times over the 8 years have you lost count? Did you find a house, think you wanted it, or find a house, put in an offer, and your offer was beat?
We probably put in a good 6 offers over the last years, 8 years. We kind of went through, ebb and flow in that process where it was like, okay, it's not the right time. We'll just put more in savings. After that first house, it was like, oh, well, we'll just save some more and we'll just keep looking. And we kind of were still figuring out the area of where we wanted to be and put down roots. And so we just sort of chalked it up to, it's not the right time. So we continue to save. And in that process over the last 4 years specifically, the market's just exploded. I mean, everything is incredibly high, higher, double, triple prices of what we were looking at initially, and way more competitive. And so we put in probably 6 offers, specifically over the last couple of years, where it was a solid offer. We were putting in over asking price. And when you put in 20,000 or 30,000 over asking price and you lose out on a house to somebody who put in 100,000 over in cash, it's just heartbreaking. And so,
you must think, how this may never, you're going to have to move somewhere else to be able to live your life. And then Tyler's commuting or whatever it is that,
we had a lot of those
sacrifices that you have to make.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations of, do we move somewhere a little further out where it's a little more remote and more affordable, so to speak? And then my husband has, a longer 1 or 2 hour commute every single day. And ultimately what it came down to for us is we just cherish the time that we have with each other. And so I didn't want to sacrifice 2 hours of my husband's day, just him driving in a car, when he could be with our kids at home, spending that time with them. And so we just were like, all right, it'll work out somehow.
And then one thing I'll say for you too, because with your skill set of making things look pretty and making things look new, you were even in your small duplex rental, and I don't mean even as if it's a horrible thing, but you were most definitely wanting to not be there at some point. You were very vocal about that, but you still made it look so lovely. And you would use your tricks and your finds and your refurbishing and all those skills to just make everything feel so much at home. I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't know we didn't have money until we had a little more. Mm-hmm. And your kids will never know, probably. Yeah. It was seamless to them, the sacrifices that you all had made. What are some of the sacrifices that you made over the years to be able to be ready yourselves for the home that you're in now?
I think it would be financial discipline. I mean, we live on 60 to 80% of our income, and there's a lot that goes into savings or other places. And that takes a lot of discipline to not just live 100% of your paycheck every month. And that maybe means sacrificing going out on a date night or taking a vacation maybe that you want to take with your whole family that year, and maybe you just simplify and scale down and do something closer to home or do a staycation. We've done a bunch of those with the kids, and actually some of those experiences have been some of their fondest memories that we've had, is just doing things together as a family. So.
Yeah, and following you on social media, date night is an event for you too, which is nice too. You'll find once they left the house, you can have date night anytime, and sometimes the best thing, just like you said.
I think we're at a point now where my oldest is able to babysit, so date night's not as hard to attain, but it's still a special night.
It is. Okay, we're going to show a little clip of you in the renovation process and a little tiny sneak peek of the house as you're getting it ready, and then we're going to come back and show the viewers the home that you're in and the work that you did with the help of your parents, and you're very talented. I don't know how handy your husband was before this, but I'm pretty sure he is now. So we'll take a break and come back. We're talking with Kati Howard from Kiss Me Kate Floral Design. Did I get it right?
Yeah, close.
Okay.
Kiss Me Kate Custom Floral.
Close. All right. We'll talk with Kati more in just a moment. We'll be back.
Well, it's late at night and we're here at the house to work on more projects because that's when we can. So I'm here to paint slats. So those are going to go in the bottom of the slat wall, and Tyler's doing some drawer assembly for our kitchen. Also, I just want to know how much lighting makes a difference. Like, it is 10 o'clock at night and look at how bright it is in here, and I love that. Also, all of these are on dimmers, so I can dim the lighting down if I want to.
We're back talking with Kati Howard. I wanted to share the story of she and her husband, the sacrifices they made over the last 8 years to buy a home in today's market. It's tough. She's shared some of the sacrifices they've made over the years, and here she is to show us the house that you found. But before we start showing, you were great at archiving this process. So we're just going to we're going to feed the audience and show them things as we're talking about them over this toward the end, until the end of the show. So tell me what about this house worked out and why? And I think there was even a bit of a disappointment in the process when you thought you weren't going to have it once again.
Yes, we found this house. A friend of mine from church actually texted me and said, hey, my neighbor said this house one door over from me is going to go up for sale. Would it be helpful for you to know about a house that hasn't hit the market yet? And I responded back, yes, please give me all the information, because any house that hits the market is gone like within a day. There's multiple offers, especially in this neighborhood where it's a really nice neighborhood and great school district. So we were able to get some information, and it actually did hit the market by the time we were able to get it, but we were able to put an offer on the first day. And unfortunately, we were not the highest offer. We seem to experience this just disappointment of we're the top offer, and then someone swoops in at the last moment and puts in a higher offer than ours right before the buyer has to make a decision. And so the buyer actually chose this other offer that was higher than ours. And so we agreed to be the backup offer on this house, and the first buyers actually walked. We aren't really sure why. Maybe it was God's hand in that. I don't know. I like to think that it was. And so they came back to us and said, would you be interested in the house still? And we said yes. So through this process, we were able to get into our home finally.
What I love, love, love about this story, many, many aspects of your story, but when you walked into the house, you saw what it is now. You saw that the green carpet and the green linoleum go away, and the wall that was in the way of everything else. You walked in and you felt like I can make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, the house, we walked into it, and Tyler walked through with me. Not the first time. I walked with our realtor and just myself the first time. He walked through the second time with us, and he was like, what are you talking about? This house is disgusting. And I was like, no, but if you can like imagine this wall being gone, and like imagine this kitchen being opened up. And I definitely have that gift, a vision to see the potential in something. And I just saw this, what it is now is what I saw when we first walked in. I said, this is what sells the house right here. This is going to be a wonderful home.
And like I said, you were really good at archiving everything. So we have that footage of the kids helping knock out the wall, or the pictures, knocking out the wall, putting in new cabinetry. So your budget was okay, we're going to make this offer. This is what we can afford to offer above the asking price because there's work to do in this house.
Right.
So you even have sacrificed some of the work that you can't do yet.
Yes,
and still made it
still
look
projects.
Who would think that avocado countertops work? But they do. They do these days. And you make it look so lovely, you know?
Oh, well, thank you. They're going to go in our bathroom, but for the time being, that was one of the compromises is, you know, we were working within a budget and kitchen was top priority to me. I'm like, I can wait on bathrooms.
Yes, you don't see the bathrooms very often.
Right.
And so then the wall too, the blue wall that you did, I imagine, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't see this process. I was privy to it much later after you were you were actually moved in. I can't imagine your search through Instagram and Pinterest boards, finding everything that you wanted. You've probably been collecting over the years, right?
I have. A lot of friends are like, how did you come up with all these ideas? And I said, I've had 8 years of preparation, just dreaming up things in my head. And it's so wonderful to just kind of, I guess, like an artist, to put it to paper and actually see it come to life. So that's been one of the most rewarding parts of doing our home renovation, is having things happen.
And not living in it while you were renovating, that probably.
Yes. Yeah, that was very, very helpful.
Well, we just have a couple minutes left. What is your advice to young people today and to their parents watching, that they could draw inspiration from your story? What is the main message you want to give to them about home ownership, if that is their dream?
I guess my message to homeowner or future potential home buyers is to just not give up. There were several times in our house buying journey that I was like, I'm done. I'm so tapped out. I can't go through the heartache of thinking that this is going to be our home. And then somebody comes in and throws down an all cash offer that we just can't compete with. And it's just disheartening to have that happen over and over and again. But I think sometimes it's good to step back from the situation, maybe just take a break and, continue to press forward that it will happen. I think my husband was a huge advocate and just don't give up. He's like, you got to keep believing. And I mean, it did happen. We also had a lot of support from our family. There's no way we renovated this entire house in 46 days ourselves. And the only thing that we didn't do was the electrical. We hired an electrician to redo everything. Yeah, I don't think that was the one thing we were like, we'll leave this to the professionals. But we just had so many work parties where everyone would just pitch in. My brothers would come, their wives. I mean, my parents were here. My dad was a huge help. There's no way we could have done this without his help. He is very knowledgeable. And so Tyler was able to gain a lot of skill sets and knowledge from his experience, just helping him working side by side. And I think as a wife and daughter, there's nothing more satisfying than seeing your husband and your dad get along and work hard together. My dad's such a hard worker, and my husband really is too. I'm so grateful for that.
Well, I'm grateful to you for sharing this story, and I just think your house is lovely, and it must be so nice for you all to share this space and have made these sacrifices and know that it's all worth it. So I think you're an inspiration to other people. Keep up the good hard work in your life, and I'm happy for you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.